Who said all these lockdowns and border closures were damaging the economy? Just about everyone. But at least when it comes to retail therapy, Australians have shown that they can still act like shopaholics. Well, that's what they've been doing. Today's retail figures have encouraged the market, while an increase in complaints about postal deliveries also proves we've been rather busy purchasing stuff online as well. Let's look closer at all of these findings today. Joining me now from Melbourne is News Corp national finance writer Sophie Elsworth. Sophie, welcome.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm very well. Have you got your Victorian visa sorted yet?
Oh, my goodness. This is crazy, Chris. Can you believe it? We now need a pass to get in and out of our own state. This is completely nuts. And Daniel Andrews, everyone was pleading for him to come back from holidays. I was dreading it, and now you know why. We've now got this crazy permit system, which I think is just overreach, wanting to know every move and watching, when we're coming in and out of the state, even if we've been in these green zones. It's just overkill, Chris.
It is. You've got checkpoints still in place and then these permits or visas that you're supposed to have. Given the infinitesimal amount of the virus in Victoria, can I ask about workers? Why aren't all the workers back in the office in their factories? I do not get it.
Chris, I'm with you. I do not know why. We are boasting down here about having these donut days. We're all gloating about it, and yet workers are staying at home. And I think there's going to be a rude shock when these workers are eventually sent back to the office, because they may well find, Chris, that their job won't be there anymore. We need to get people back into the city. I was in the CBD on the weekend, and it's a ghost town, Chris. I mean, Burke Street Mall, there's a handful of shops opposite Myer in the main heart of Melbourne that are vacant and up for lease. It's just devastating.
Yeah. OK, those retail figures, they're encouraging. We can still be shopaholics when we think the time is right.
Well, that's right, Chris. I mean, we've got to find some pleasure in our life, and a lot of people have been doing it by shopping online. The figures showed that we were up in October to November by about 7%, and year on year was up about 13% in sales in November. Now, this is really interesting, Chris, because during November we had the Black Friday sales, which were huge, and a lot of really cash-conscious shoppers were maximising these sales to fill their Christmas stockings and get those bargains so that they weren't paying more in the lead up to Christmas.
Now, is it right that when you break down the figures, it works out that Victorians in particular were doing plenty online?
Absolutely, because, Chris, don't forget, we were under these very strict restrictions down here. They were only lifted at the end of November. So a lot of us were hesitant to go to the shops, or we couldn't simply go to the shops. So we had to sit behind our computers or on our mobile phones and do our shopping. So for some retailers, it's been a very good time, but for small businesses particularly that had to make that transition to online, it proves quite challenging for them, and some of them will really suffer as a result of this.
Yeah. Some massive increases in complaints about AusPost deliveries. Now, it might say something about the unsteady positions at the top after Christine Holgate walked. But in terms of deliveries, it says we actually have been really focused on getting our shopping delivered at home, even though it hasn't worked as well as it should.
Look, Chris, I think people need to be realistic. I mean, I'm a bit sympathetic for Australia Post. They've been under a huge amount of stress trying to get parcels delivered to people, remembering they've had record numbers of parcels being sent around the country. And I see myself in Australia Post. You've got people, tapping their hand on the counter, wanting items delivered quickly. And you have to be realistic. There's challenges in place that haven't been in place prior to this. And I always think when you're posting stuff, you need to allow a bit of extra time. But in saying that, I think some of their charges are unfair, where they're charging you express post prices, but your parcels aren't arriving within that express post time. And things like that do need to be overlooked.
Yeah, and the next CEO needs to sort it out quick, smart, I would have thought.